Hi reception, welcome to today's topic lesson. Okay, so what is it we're going to be doing today? Well, to this week, we are thinking a little bit less about changes, because that's been the theme of our lessons for a few weeks now, but more about what things are made of and whether or not these things are natural or man-made. And those are two words we're going to talk about in a moment. But before we start, I have put two pictures of two places on the PowerPoint. Now, with your helper at home, can you pause the video and I want you to talk to them about the things you can see in each picture and whether or not the things in the pictures are the same or different. So pause the video and have a quick chat. How did you get on? Okay then, first of all, I can see that the two pictures are of two very different places. The top one looks like it could be somewhere in the countryside. It looks like it might be quite a quiet place. There might be lots of animals living there and possibly not very many people, although I can see a little house tucked away between those trees. I can see lots of flowers. I can see lots of trees and leaves. I think it's quite a natural place. Now, the picture at the bottom is different, isn't it? That's a picture of Birmingham City Centre. And in that picture, I can see, wow, I can see lots of buildings. I can see lots of windows. I can see lots of lights on in those windows. I can see roads with cars on and street lights. I can also see some tall towers in the background. And you know what? I don't think I can see any plants at all in that picture. In fact, I don't think there'd be quite as many animals or plants in that scene at all. So they're two very different places. Now, what is it we're going to be thinking about more carefully? Well, I've already told you two words we're going to need today. So let's have a look at those words first, shall we? So, what do you think then, before I explain, what do you think these words mean? The word natural and the word man-made. Pause the video and have a chat with your helper. Oh, some great ideas, reception. Shall we see if they match mine? Are you ready? Okay. So, natural. What's a natural object? Well, a natural object is something that we can find naturally around us. So people don't have anything to do with them making it. So it could be something that we've dug out from the ground. So for example, metals, they can be found under the ground. It could be something we grow ourselves, or it could be something that we take from something that's already alive. And we're going to look at lots of examples of things that match that category in a moment. So how is man-made different? Well, a man-made object is something that you won't find in the world around you unless a person has put it there, because that person has taken something, added things to it, or changed it in some way to make that object. And we're going to find some examples that match that too. So natural and man-made are opposites to each other. Okay, now these science words and this sort of science thinking and learning is something you're going to do throughout school in your science lessons. Today's lesson is just the start of it. So don't worry if you get a little bit confused or you're not sure. We're just looking at it together today for the first time. Okay, so let's have a look, shall we, at some of those examples. Now, today what we're going to do is I'm going to show you something, and then together we're going to try and decide if we think it's a natural thing or a man-made thing using those definitions we just spoke about, okay? So let's have a look at this. Now, paint. Oh, I love using paint. But let me think about those words. Paint. So if paint was natural, that would mean you would just find it outside. You might have to dig it out from the ground. It might be growing on something outside. I'm not sure about that. I think paint is man-made. I think paint is made in a factory and then put into bottles or into trays for us to use. What do you think, reception? Oh, you think the same. Shall we see? It was man-made. Well done, us. Shall we have a look at another example? Oh, a flower or some leaves. I think I know where this goes. Do people have to make flowers, or can flowers just grow on their own? on their own, don't they? Flowers are very natural. Plants are natural. They grow all around us. Even if people suddenly disappeared and we weren't here anymore, the plants would still be able to grow and they would keep making new plants and they would thrive just fine without us. So that is definitely a natural example. Yes, well done us. Oh, what have we got here? It looks like some planks. What do you think those planks are made from, reception? They are from wood, aren't they? Do you know where wood comes from? Absolutely, from trees. Now think back to the other example we just did. Trees are an example of a plant, aren't they? Trees grow without help from us. Trees would be just fine. They would still carry on growing if all the people disappeared. We don't make trees in factories, do we, or in shops? No, trees are natural. So that means wood is natural because that's where wood comes from, the trunk of a tree. Plastic. Oh, reception. What do we think about plastic? Oh, some people think man-made, some people aren't sure. Well, let's think about it. Plastic. Does plastic come from the ground? No, I don't think so. Does plastic grow on plants or trees? Can you pick plastic off of a plant? No. Do you know what I know about plastic, reception? Plastic is something that's made in a factory. You need to add chemicals together and mix them all up, and you can create them in great factories and use what you make, the material you make, to shape it in lots of different ways by people. So people make plastic. Plastic can't be found in our natural world. Plastic is something that humans make. So I think it goes in man-made, should we say? Oh, yeah, we've got in the right place. And there's lots of plastic around us. So there are probably lots of examples in your home of some man-made plastic things. Let's see what's next. Oh, stone. I think I know where this goes. What do you think, reception? Oh, so do you think stones are made in factories? Do you think people mix things together and heat and cool things to make stones? No, stones are natural, aren't they? They definitely come from the ground underneath us. You can dig lots of different types of stones and rocks from underneath the ground. And all the things in our natural world, like mountains and hills, they all have lots of rocks underneath them and volcanoes too. That's all to do with rocks as well. So I think stone comes under the natural heading, shall we say? Yes, well done us. Ah, sand. Now, does anybody know how sand is made? Oh, so sand is really fine, little tiny pieces of rock. And sand is made when rock is bashed by the waves at the seaside. And the rock just gets crumbly, really small. And then it goes so fine, it turns into sand. So sand is actually tiny pieces of rock. And we talked about rocks, didn't we, when we looked at the stone example? Rocks come from our ground, we dig them up, or we see them on top of our ground, don't we? So sand on the beaches, does people make the beaches? No. Sand is a natural object, isn't it? So let's just double check. Let's see if we're right. Oh, well done us. It was natural. Okay, what's next? Ah, some gloves. Does anybody know what gloves are made from? That's right, lots of gloves are made from wool. Where does wool come from, reception? What animal? That's right, wool comes from sheep. We take the wool from the sheep and then we, in a factory, then turn it into threads of wool that we can use to knit things, to stitch things. So that's a bit of a tricky one because actually the wool it's made from is natural, but the glove itself, you wouldn't find that growing on a tree, would you? You wouldn't dig up a glove from under the ground. But what it's actually made from is a natural material, wool, because we've taken it from something that's alive, haven't we? So a sheep is alive and we've just borrowed some of it. So I think it probably will be natural. What do you think, reception? Do you agree? That's a bit of a tricky one. Let's see. It was natural. Fantastic. We're getting good at this. Okay, I think we might have one more or two more. Let's have a look. Ah, glass. Well, there's lots of glass around us. I see glass everywhere, but do I see glass in like the natural world? So if I think back to that picture at the start where it had all the plants growing in the fields, would I just find glass growing anywhere? No, glass doesn't grow anywhere, does it? Does glass come off anything that was alive, like the wool came off the sheep? No, it doesn't, does it? Do you know what? Glass is made by people. So glass is actually it's made in factories. So it's taking something sand, heating it up. So adding heat to it. So we add the heat, add the heat, and when we add the heat, it changes it. So it's a little bit like the example with the wool, isn't it? Where people have taken something and changed it and turned it into gloves. But the wool wasn't really changed. It was nothing was added to it. It was just sort of reshaped, I suppose. But glass, you can't have glass unless you really, really heat the sand. So that's when the change happens because then the rock and the sand all melts and it turns into glass and then we reshape it to make the glass. So I think that one might be more of a man-made object. Shall we say? Oh, hooray! Well done, us. Okay, metal. So metal. Who knows where metal comes from? That's right. I did say at the start, didn't I? Metal comes from under the ground, and people can dig up metal because it's something that is just in the world around us, and then they can use it to make different things. But it's actually made from something that is natural. Wow, we're so good at this. I think I've got a really good understanding now of things that are natural and things that are man made. Do you think you have reception? Oh, brilliant. So, I've got a task for you then. I've shown you lots of examples, and I hope it's given you some ideas of things around you that are natural and man made. And your task is to try and find three of each. And you can look in your home, or you could go outside in your gardens or the surrounding areas when you go for a walk to see if you can find three natural things and three man made things, or three objects that are made from man made materials. And then what you can do, you could draw what you find or take some photos and maybe even put them into a little diagram like we have above here. There it is, where we've got two groups, natural and man-made. And the challenge could be here today is can you talk to your helper about how you know which group it belongs to? Okay, perhaps you could use some of those definitions we talked about earlier when you're explaining. Okay, so I want you to pause the video now, go and have a go at put my teeth back in. Go and have a go at that activity and then come and join me for our plenary at the end. Okay. Welcome back, reception. How did you get on? Did you find three for each? Did some of you find more? Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look at our last slide together. So let's think about what we've learned then. So, can you remember what the difference between a natural and a man-made object is? Pause the video and talk to your helper. Oh, guys, you've really listened carefully. Well done. So, a natural object is something that we find naturally in the world around us. It could be something we dig up from under the ground or grows on something, or something we can grow ourselves, or something we can take from something that's alive, like we talked about taking the wool from the sheep. And a man-made object is something that is made from a material that we have created. And it can be where we take something natural and change it and add things to it. So plastic is man-made, glass is man-made. Those are examples. Okay, reception, did you have fun today? Okay, well, you go away now and see if you can spot any more natural or man-made things around you. Okay, so don't forget what we've learned today because tomorrow we're going to need it for our activity. All right then, take care now.